Welcome to Talk, Teach and Learn, an EdTech podcast brought to you by Firefly Learning, the trusted platform for whole school engagement, helping schools deliver a unified school experience. Firefly offers schools a way to provide a better experience for everyone through a simpler, more joined up way for the whole school community to work together. If you're a teacher or a school leader looking to learn more about how you can consistently use technology to improve your teaching and learning strategies and classroom management, then you've come to the right place. I'd like to welcome you all along to our episode 3, where we're going to be looking at student motivation and engagement. I'm your host, Rob Eastman from Firefly Learning. I've been with Firefly for 8 years now, but was previously a director of studies at a school in the UK, and I've got a background teaching science and leading the use of IT in schools. Today we've got our bite-sized segment with a special guest star, Ben Dunford, who's the head of product here at Firefly, but he's actually much more important than that. He was the founder of Epraise, which is the learning engagement platform at the heart of hundreds of school communities all around the world. Welcome along, Ben. It's great to have you with us.
Thank you, Rob. It's great to be here, and hello to all your listeners.
So I'm just gonna dig into you a little bit, if you don't mind, and just kind of find out a little bit about what exactly led you to this particular point in your career.
Yeah, I guess so. What am I now? 37. It's been a bit of a journey, and I guess it's been somewhat similar to some of the things you've done as well, Rob, in terms of my teaching career. So I guess probably ought to go back to the start. And as a child, I really enjoyed computers and programming. I think I probably wrote my first line of code when I was 4 or 5 or so. And then going through school, I obviously made some websites for my local builders and for my rugby club, and kind of just got involved in those kind of things as I grew up. And then in the sixth form, I became interested in teaching. I think it was probably about the time my mum was doing her PGCE, and I got involved in teaching some year 7 lessons. I think it was design and technology. So I taught them how to do some woodwork and metalwork and all those kind of things. And after doing a computer science degree at Exeter University, decided that teaching was the thing for me. And yeah, when I did a PGCE, went and taught in my first school the year after, and I loved it. And actually, I still love it. Like, teaching's a magical thing to do, and you have such an impact on the individuals in your classroom. And there's no kind of feeling like it, is there, as you'll testify to, Rob, I'm sure. And the classroom bit was great, but there's lots of other stuff around it where things weren't working as well as I thought they should be. Student motivation was one of them, but there were plenty of other problems. And I kind of, I guess, got my hands dirty, if that's the right phrase. I kind of tried to solve lots of different problems around the school using my skills as a developer, and eventually settled on this student motivation problem because there was lots of things where I felt we could be doing things better. Epraise was, I guess, a result of a few of those things coming together and some happy circumstances, meeting the right people, having some good friends that worked in local schools where we could test out these ideas. And after lots of proof of concepts and iterations, launched Epraise in 2010. So, goodness me, what's that? 12 years ago.
Feels a long time ago
it was
now.
only yesterday. Yeah. And obviously, it's very different now to how it was back then. It solved many problems at first launch. Things like generating certificates used to take schools hours and hours of admin time, kind of solved that overnight. Generating something as simple as like a house graph, again, that used to take about 15 spreadsheets and people adding things to it manually all the time, and we solved that overnight. But there are lots of other problems, and I guess you solve one problem and then Epraise became the platform for solving problems for schools, and that's how we've expanded into other areas as well, even beyond achievement and behaviour. But yeah, it's all about motivating students, and the other thing is kind of pin off of that. So it's been quite a journey. And then in, oh goodness me, March 2020, we joined the Firefly family, and I guess here we are today.
So, I mean, one of the questions I frequently get asked as an ex-teacher, and funny enough, always by teachers, is do you miss the teaching? And I'm always kind of, well, you're kind of still in the game a little bit. I always liken it. It's
Yeah.
a bit like being a grandparent, because you can go into school and you can see the sorts of things they do, and you can help and you can assist and what have you. But then you can hand it back, just like you can with a grandchild. It's great when it's there and what have you. But when things get difficult, you can hand it back over. I mean,
Yeah.
how is it in EdTech for you?
It's a really exciting, fast-moving place to be. I think any ex-teacher probably misses bits of that teaching, and I'm definitely one of them. I do miss being in the classroom and teaching those lessons. I'm sure there's other things that we both say we don't miss as well, but we are still involved in education. We are still making an impact, and I guess we've zoomed out a little bit, and instead of helping those 30 children in your class or the maybe 400 students you teach across the week, we're now helping, I don't know what the latest count is, Rob, but hundreds of thousands of students in 20, 30, 40 countries across the globe. That for me is a really exciting place to be able to have that big impact. And I guess that's what makes us get out of bed each day, is the impact you have, whether that's in the classroom and teaching your 30 kids, whether that's doing what we're doing now and having that impact across a much broader base of students.
Yeah, I think the other thing I love is the number of schools that and teachers that we get to talk to, and in all honesty, learn from. When I
Yeah.
think of the things that I've picked up, the ideas and strategies and what have you that I picked up in 8 years at Firefly, if you could go back into the classroom now and just teach, God, you'd be amazing, because you've had that
Yeah.
opportunity to just learn from the very best that's out there. I think it's a fantastic thing.
Yeah, it's very true. And I did, as I was building Epraise, I did quite a bit of part-time work. So I started full-time building Epraise at evenings and weekends, and slowly dropped down my days down to the point where I was only doing a couple of hours. But actually, my teaching was getting better and better as
Mm.
I was speaking to more and more schools. I guess that's the joy of being able to speak to so many schools, is you learn much more than you can when you're, I guess, at the coalface every day.
Yeah, no,
It's an
very much so.
exciting place to be, and hopefully we can pass on some of that knowledge today.
Yeah, no, hopefully. So, we ePraise, one of the core things at it there is, it's achievement, it's behavior, it's motivation. Motivation sits
Yeah,
there at the core of what it is that you're trying to do. So why do you feel that student motivation is so important then?
yeah. I guess we say it's like the heart of ePraise. It's everything is kind of pinned off of that, and that's because it has such a profound impact. And I guess that's obvious, isn't it? Students have to be motivated to do well,
Hmm.
and that naturally improves student outcomes. So if you look at it from a school leadership point of view, or an inspector, or country assessment point of view, it improves students' outcomes. That's the end goal for, I guess, a lot of stakeholders. But for me, it's also about improving students' sense of purpose and well-being. And actually, that's just as important, probably more important than the academic outcomes that they genuinely do improve. Instilling that sense of purpose and well-being is really important, and even more so, arguably, these days. It also makes your job easy as a teacher, I would say, as
Yeah.
well. You've got a class of 30 motivated students and a class of 30 poorly or averagely motivated students. Which one are you going to want to teach? Well, I know where I would be going. Um,
Yeah, no, I agree entirely. And if, that big task was, if as a science teacher, there are some kids that just aren't turned on by physics. I mean, I don't understand why they couldn't be turned on by physics, but they're just
not
not.
me, Rob.
No, but there was that actual, yeah.
Yeah,
Once you get them on board, once you get them unmotivated, get them motivated and with you. Actually, it's such an exciting place to be in the
yeah.
classroom with them. So that being the case, what are the kind of things that you find help the students stay motivated or start to engage with you?
Yeah, I guess the key thing is well, there's not just one key thing. There's lots of different aspects, and it is
Mm.
really different for each student. What motivates one student might not really have any impact on another student. So you need a variety of different strategies that work across the range of students. And that might be something as simple as having an interesting lesson. That's got to be a good place to
Yeah.
start, right? That's the kind of thing that you learn in teacher training. That's all fine and well and good. You have a nice, pretty PowerPoint with lots of pictures on. You have some interactive activities, and you have some things that happen in the classroom that make it a bit more vibrant than just you sitting at the front of the classroom and talking at the children, or the children just writing things, copying things. You make your lessons interesting. That bit's obvious. Then there's some things that I guess you learn more about as you progress through your career. And students like to feel kind of part of a community in order to feel motivated. They like to feel like they're going somewhere, have a sense of progress. And that's both individually, actually, and as part of a community. Like, where is my class going? What things are they going to be able to do at the end of this course? Or what grades are they aiming for? Or how is the effort that I'm putting in paying off? I think those things are really important. It's kind of something to aim for. And we're not just talking about academic results, like the grades. We're also talking about these other like experiences, things that they may be able to do, may be able to achieve, maybe be able to experience once they've done these things in the classroom. I think that sense of progress is really important. And the other things, I guess, teachers play a big role in motivating students. There's lots of different ways to do that, as we all know. It might be something as simple as saying, well done. But of course, for each of those things, there's better ways to do it and there's worse ways to do it. So you should always, for example, praise the effort that someone puts in, not the achievement or the outcome, because saying, well done, you got an A, isn't as powerful and isn't as useful in terms of encouraging students to keep going forward as, well done, you've worked really hard on that. These bits in particular I really like because of this or that. Having that really useful feedback and praise of the effort that the student has put into something is far more beneficial to the student. So there's loads of different things, and there's some really useful academic research around this. I'm not sure if we're going to be putting out a blog at some point. Certainly, I've got a few things that we can add to that, if that's helpful. So sorry, go on, Rob.
I was going to say absolutely, and what I really like there is that idea, and it is a common thing now that you praise the effort and recognise the effort, because hey, we can all put effort in.
Yeah.
Some of us, are not necessarily artists, and therefore are not necessarily going to be able to get that A for their artistic endeavour. And I would definitely put myself in that camp. But I can still work at it, and I can still be recognised for that. So I think that's great to see. I mean, we used to use we used to use stickers or postcards. We used to send postcards home and things like that. I mean, what other things have you seen that work well with kids?
Oh, all sorts. And actually, some of those, I guess, the world of education has moved on a little bit since those things, but some schools are still doing those things, like like you say, stickers in the back of the study planner. Some schools have like stamps they put in the back of the study planner, or the teachers sign things in the back of the study planner, and at the end of the week the parent signs the study planner or homework diary, whatever schools are calling it, and that's then hopefully you expect that the parent might have a look at the list of points. You see things like Smarties and like tokens in jars, so you can build up like house points or color points within a classroom. Those are quite cool. And what else have we seen? Oh, there's all sorts of cool things like praise postcards and whatever kind of system you're using. The principles are that you're saying well done to this student, you're recognizing the effort that they've put into something, and maybe drawing on aspects of competition and community in order to make those things kind of feel like they're worth more.
And are there any, would you say that there are problems associated, or does that raise difficulties with students?
I wouldn't say problems. What I would say is they're great for some students, So if we take, for example, a sticker in the back of the planner, the most basic kind of
Mm.
rewarding, for some students they work great, and it makes a real difference to them. Thinking back to my time in my first secondary school where they were using that kind of approach, and I can't remember if it was stamps or stickers, but certainly a good number, maybe 30-40% of the year sevens were really motivated and excited by getting a sticker or a stamp. There were a good number in year seven not motivated. And of course, as you look at the older year groups, that percentage decreased fairly rapidly, as you might imagine. There are certainly not many year 11s in my computer science, or ICT as it was then, classes that enjoyed receiving a sticker or indeed any kind of praise in that kind of sense where it felt a bit childish to them, which is such a shame, because my year 11s were just as hard as my year 7s sometimes, maybe not all the time. And you kind of want to say well done, and that praise does actually mean something to them, but they're a little bit embarrassed about it. I guess that's the short story there. And I guess there's a few other kind of things as to why they won't necessarily work as well as you would hope. But it's not obvious that progress is being made if you're just sticking stamps in. I guess after you've got the first 10 or 20, like, where are you going with this? What does this mean? It's not always clear what you're aiming for. A lot of schools do certificates, like you get a bronze certificate, silver certificate, gold certificate, maybe 25, 50, 100 points. But traditionally, they've been really difficult to administer. So they're always about 2 weeks, 3 weeks late. They don't always mean very much. Sometimes you get 2 gold certificates because the admin's kind of messed up, or your spreadsheet's not, been formatted properly, forgot to save it. It's just an administrative pain in order to administer those kind of things. And they also take up a lot of teacher time. So it's not just like admin time, like back office time. It's also teacher time. I've got to find my sticker stamps. I've got to pull it out the drawer. I've got to go to the printer because I've run out, and I've got to stick them into the children's planners. And then as I'm let's say a form tutor, I then got to take each of the planners one by one. I've got to total up the stickers in there. I then got to write that into a spreadsheet. I send that to my head of year, who then puts it into another spreadsheet, who then sends it to a school leader, who then puts it into another spreadsheet. Then they add them all up together. Then they send off to someone who does some certificates. And it just gets a little bit admin heavy. And I guess schools don't have time for that. They didn't used to have time for it, and they definitely don't have now. And the other thing is parents as well. I was saying the hope is that a parent will check the back of the study planner to see how many points the child's got. A, that probably doesn't happen a lot of the time. But B, it doesn't really mean a lot to a parent. What does 30 points mean? Is that good? Yeah. Is that bad? What do they get them for? The child is never going to remember if we're doing this discussion thing once a week. So. And parents are like the biggest factor when it comes to student outcomes, or at least one of the biggest factors. And they aren't usually engaged with that kind of student motivation in the way that can have a real big impact.
Yeah, and I think as well, it's interesting as well. You were talking about older students and how their not their attitude, but their acceptance, if you like, of stars and stickers and what have you changes as they get older. But I think also their willingness to talk about their parents about their successes changes. Well, when you're a child, you're a young child. Yeah, if you get a sticker for anything, you want to tell your mum and dad about it. You take it home and you kind of force them to look at the diary and so on and so forth. As you get older, you get a little bit more far too cool for that kind of thing. And therefore, if we're not careful, parents can be completely cut out of the loop because we're relying on student mail to give them the good news. And so finding a digital way, or a way which is accessible for parents where they're not reliant on the child to tell them that they've done something really good, I think it's where technology can make a huge difference in just letting parents see the picture almost incognito. And start the conversation rather than having the conversation started for them.
Yeah, 100%. And that's not to say that technology replaces what the teacher does. You can't just have, these children getting points and that's the story. You
Yeah.
know, that might have some effect, but it's not going to work unless the teacher's saying, well done, you know,
Yeah.
you put a lot of effort into this. This is what went really well. You still need that teacher feedback and you still need that personal connection. Otherwise, those points don't mean anything.
Yeah.
So it's about that perfect pairing of humans and technology in order to provide this kind of motivational effect on students, which ultimately makes school much better for everybody.
So if we're rewarding lots of things, how are we
Mm.
rewarding it with stars or stickers or stamps or what have you? I mean, do we not run the risk of sort of instilling this idea of a token economy with our kids, where that things don't get done for their own value, but actually for the reward that's going to come out of it?
Yeah, and it depends how you do it, and actually, you know, taking that token economy a little bit further, a lot of schools do like physical rewards for when students get certain points. So let's say they saved up 50 points or 100 points, maybe they can get a small Amazon voucher or something like that.
Hmm.
And to me, that probably does work really well for some students, and that probably is actually really appropriate for some students. And hey, look, that's what happens in the world of work, right? You know,
Yeah.
we are paid and we go to work, and I think that probably has its place, but that shouldn't be the reason why the children are learning. They need to
Mm.
appreciate the value of learning because learning is good, not because they get paid for it or they get rewards or whatever. And I think by understanding what they've done well and by being able to see their progress, that is how you create that intrinsic motivation.
Mm.
And but as I say, extrinsic motivation does have its place in education. It shouldn't be the end goal, the only factor. It should be part of the story, and maybe a different part of the story depending on the age or the type of student. But going back into token economies, because I think that is an interesting thing, where the school will say if you have this number of points, you can maybe have this specific item. It might be a voucher, it might be some sporting equipment, it might be some stationery, it might be, I don't know, anything. And for some students that works really, really well. And we have a feature in Epraise, the shop, where the schools can set these up and the students can buy them. But one thing that you can do to make that more effective is, instead of giving out things that like cost money, is to offer things that are experiences. And that could be really simple things. It could be something like get to the front of the lunch queue.
Yeah, that was the first one I was thinking of. That is the teenage boy in me thinking, God, I would have given anything to be able to skip to the front of the lunch queue.
Exactly, and there's like different things work in different schools as well. So some schools do things like hot chocolate with the head teacher, which I know for most of the year 11s that I taught would be an actual nightmare. But for some of the year 7s or maybe the primary school children that I've taught would be absolutely wonderful, and they would, that would be a huge motivation to rack up some points. It could be something that they do for them and their friends or them and their tutor group. So maybe if they get to 100 points, they get to have the sports hall for a lunchtime for them and their tutor group. Or it could be that for them and their friends, they get to, I don't know, take over the games room for a lunchtime or a break time. There's loads of different ways you can do it, but kind of unlinking it from that monetary value can be a really good thing and provides a much better long-term motivation for the students. We've also thought about privileges as well, and I think this is quite a nice thing to do. So maybe when the students reach a certain level of points, they get a certain privilege. Maybe they're allowed in a particular part of the school at lunchtime, or maybe they're allowed to play football on the field. I don't know what that looks like, and it's going to be different for every school. But that recognition, so that reward is recognizing the effort that they've put in. And I don't think we should discount token economies completely. I think it needs to be a appropriate part of the conversation.
I like the way you're tying privileges there to, I suppose you're tying it to responsibility.
Yeah,
Actually, if you take responsibility for your learning and your engagement and the effort that you put in, then that goes hand in hand with certain privileges that are earned by you. And I think that's
yeah,
something that's a valuable life lesson in itself. Never mind a motivation tool.
yeah. Couldn't agree more, Rob. Um,
So what does I mean? You've touched there about extrinsic and intrinsic motivation, and the different ways that we can try and engage with our students and recognize our students' achievements. So what does the future of motivation look like then?
yeah, so I guess a lot of schools are still using like a point with a value. So I'm going to give you 1 point for this or 5 points for this, and those things do work great, but they don't work great for like the bigger things where students have kind of gone above and beyond.
Hmm.
I mean, I guess you could offer 25 points because they've done the Duke of Edinburgh Gold or something like that, but it doesn't have much more of a value. It doesn't really communicate the effort that they've put in. I do think like digital badges are a good way of recognizing these things. We certainly have a few different options in Epraise for digital badges, milestones, accolades, achievements, and they all work in slightly different ways. And the good thing about the digital badges is they can be kind of manual things that someone will award and they'll recognize maybe just things like taking part in sports day or the swimming gala
Mm.
or the sponsored walk, or maybe, as I said earlier, doing the Duke of Edinburgh Gold or doing some charity work, or there's loads of different things that you might want to recognize that are kind of worth more than just a point, that kind of go above and beyond that. And that's something that I guess having a dedicated reward system or student motivation system can offer. Um, so yeah, like as I was saying, a student climbs a mountain, and whether that's a literal mountain or a metaphorical mountain, offering some kind of extra recognition beyond just the points and stuff like that. I think that's a really powerful way to do it, and technology can help with the automated rewarding as well. So when a student reaches a certain number of points or position on the leaderboard or points across different categories, then being awarded automatically by the system means that the teacher's kind of done their hard work. They don't need to do any more. The system will then kind of take over and help motivate the students kind of in the background. And that's the great thing about technology. It's all about saving time, so the teachers can spend more time saying well done and saying what the students have done well, so they can keep progressing.
I suppose the easier you can make that process, the smoother you can make that process for teachers, the more it becomes a natural addition to their day-to-day teaching practice. It's not
Yeah,
something that they have to think, oh right, I've got to dig out the postcard, or I've got to actually this is just something that is part. It's another tool in my armory that I
yeah.
can use without even really having to think about it, and therefore I'm more likely to use it.
Oh crikey! Look, saying well done to a student should not feel like a chore, right?
Mm,
This should be the best part of our jobs.
yeah,
That's what teaching is all about. They've come this far, they've made all this effort, and for it to feel like a chore to say well done, that's not the kind of thing I want to be doing.
no,
Yeah, we want to make this feel part of something that you enjoy doing.
yeah, no, absolutely. Well, I'm just keeping an eye on the time. We are just about coming up to the end of our allotted time. So thank you ever so much for your time today, Ben. I know here we are coming into the new academic year. It is always a very, very busy time. Well, it's busy
Yeah,
time for teachers. It's also a busy time for anybody that works with teachers or is supporting teachers. So I know your time is particularly precious. So thanks ever so much for coming in today.
absolute pleasure.
If Thank you for listening in for today. If you'd like to find out anything more about anything that Ben has been talking about today, or a bit more about Epraise or Firefly, then do feel free to drop us an email, hi@fireflylearning.com. We're always happy to share best practice in particular with you, the sorts of things that we've come across, but also just some of our ideas and some of the strategies and things that and the tools that we have available for schools to, as Ben said, take the chore out of saying well done to students. Make it easier for everyone involved. Make it more rewarding, so we say, for everyone involved in that school process. So thanks again, everybody, for today. Thank you for your time, Ben, and we look forward to seeing everyone at our next podcast in a few weeks' time. Take care, everyone. Thanks very much.